We are back with another episode of Mock Draft Mondays. And what do you do when you are stuck right in the middle of the draft? Well, I got you covered. Or do I? According to Matt. We'll see on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Anay. And you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Anay. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It will subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly, truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And truly, truly the most important thing to you guys this time of year, and Matt and I, give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth, personalized experience where you're going to get text messaging alerts right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute episode. And if you are interested in joining us on Subtext, the link is wherever you're watching, listening, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started today. And all right, as I said it up top, we know we're back in fashion with another episode of Mock Draft Mondays. Today, I was on the hot seat, and I actually took the risk. I think the sixth spot is 90% of the times the most tough spot to draft from because you have the most distance between picks. And obviously that makes it harder to do. You kind of have to strategize. You kind of sometimes have to reach and think ahead of what you're going to do. Obviously, Matt and I, what we do most of the time here with our mock drafts is a 5x5 head-to-head categories league. That's what I did. Basically, your standard 3 outfielder, 2 utility, 2 starters, 2 relievers, 4 pitchers, and then it's a 5-man bench as well. And with that being said, Matt, you want to pull the team up for us, brother? There it is, right on cue. We didn't even have to tell him. You already did it if you watch it on YouTube. All right, so let me break down this team for you. I'll do it positions first here. My outfield is Kyle Tucker, Teoscar Hernandez, Mike Trout. My infield is Bryce Harper, Jordan Westburg at second, Tovar at short, Rafael Devers at third. I got Sean Murphy catching. On the bench, I have, or as my utilities, I have Luis Garcia and Jason Dominguez. On the bench, I have Josh Jung, Ryan Mountcastle, and Jeremy Pena. Catching, I did say catching. I have Sean Murphy already, I believe. So then let's go with my rotation. I have Blake Snell starting, Luis Castillo as my 2. Then I have Andres Munoz, Jordan Romano, and Justin Martinez closing. As my third SP, I have Freddy Peralta. Then I have Jack Flaherty, Zach Eflin as my 5, Clark Schmidt as my 6, and Jesus Luzardo as my 7. I like what I did here with the team. Kind of started with Kyle Tucker, got that outfield, got that outfielder out of the way. Outfield is like one of the hardest positions to fill. And then after that, I took Bryce Harper as my first baseman. I love that combo. You have a lot of stability between the two of them. And then you even add in a Rafael Devers. And you really just look at, I think between the 3 of them, if anything goes wrong with anybody else, you look at that 3 in a 12-man league to have those 3 bats, I think just really puts this team over the edge for me, in my opinion, with the bats. And then you kind of just, you add in the rest of it. We'll get into it a little bit deeper later. Really like the way it came out. I took Blake Snell as my SP1. Then I took Teoscar Hernandez as my second outfielder. Then I took Luis Castillo in the 6th as my SP2. I like the pairing of Castillo and Snell because Blake Snell leaves you a little bit of question mark usually in the first half. And I think Castillo is just straight all the way through, has SP1 upside, is a very strong SP2. After that, I took Westburg in the 7th round. Then I took Freddy Peralta in the 8th, kind of a high upside pitcher as well. Andres Munoz, I took my first closer in the 9th. And Matt and I have kind of been talking about this, and I think Matt agrees. You kind of just got to jump in and grab a kind of elite closer. It's not too early. Around this time, 9th, 10th round, you really want to start thinking about it. Then I took Mike Trout in the 10th. And honestly, I know Matt's been taking a lot of him in his mocks as well. Trout is just if he gives you 120, 130 games, it's 35 homers, it's probably 100 RBIs, it's a 280 plus batting average. And he really is just still such a strong contributor. And this is the latest we've gotten my Trout in his whole career. After his first, second year. Great value on my Trout this year, honestly. I think everyone should really invest. Took Ezekiel Tovar in the 11th. Matt and I kind of been, hyping him up a bit recently. We're really high on him. Go watch our shortstop preview episode. We spoke very highly of him in that one. It's a good breakdown of him in that episode. Took Jack Flaherty in the 12th. That's my fourth starting pitcher, man. And I love this pick. I think Flaherty is being so underrated right now. He goes back to Detroit. We had great success last year. He's found health, after a lot of years of question marks around his health. I think he's somebody we can hope he stays fairly healthy. I think just he's going to rock and roll in Detroit. SP4, great value on him. Then I jump in and take somebody that Matt hates, Luis Garcia in the 13th. I like him. Honestly, he could be a starting second baseman most of the time. I have him ranked inside my top 10 second baseman. So to grab him as a utility bat, I think it's pretty good. Can spar out for Jordan Westburg. If I need to move him to third, I can move Westburg to third. If Devers has a day off, I move Garcia into second. I like that. After that, took Jason Dominguez, going to start for the Yankees in the outfield in the 14th round. I like his value so far this year. I took Jordan Romano in the 15th round, my second closer. Like him, going to probably get most of the work there for the Phillies. In the 16th, I took somebody I haven't been taking a lot of, but the more I look at him, the more I like him. I took Zach Eflin over at the Orioles now. I like the outlook. He's just been really consistent the last 2 years. Going to give you some innings, some strikeouts, some wins over there in Baltimore, so I like him. I took Justin Martinez, the closer for the Diamondbacks, or the projected closer for the Diamondbacks. Actually had a really good year last year. In the 17th round is my third closer. He's somebody that's been moving up my rankings as we've been seeing more questionable closer committees, or just more situations where it's not 100% clear if it's one guy's going to get all the saves. I think in the Diamondbacks right now, it's going to be Justin Martinez. So I think it's safe to take him until further notice, unless Arizona does something over there. Clark Schmidt in the 18th round is my sixth starting pitcher. Love that. We've talked about Clark Schmidt a lot on this podcast already. Josh Jung in the 19th round. Great value on him. Somebody Matt and I both are very, very high on. I took Ryan Mountcastle in the 20th round. They're moving that wall in the left field over there in Baltimore. I think that's going to help Ryan Mountcastle a lot. We've seen him hit a lot of home runs before they move that wall further. So with them moving it back in, I think he's somebody that could hit like 260, 30 home runs, and there could be a lot of RBIs on that Baltimore team, depending on where he hits in that lineup. Jeremy Pena in the 21st round, just to back up shortstop with Tovar, just to have somebody else on my roster that can jump in there when needed to be. We talked about him in the shortstop preview episode too, so check that out if you want a little bit more Pena talk. Jesus Luzardo in the 22nd round, his ADP is going to go up sooner than later. If we see him in spring training, healthy, rocking and rolling with that Phillies team, that ADP is going to go up. So to get him as my seventh starting pitcher, I love that. And then I finished things up, catcher Sean Murphy, over in Atlanta. If he stays healthy, a lot of RBIs, got some pop in that bat. I like the way this team came out, in honestly, my opinion. If I had to critique it, probably starting pitching. It is a little bit questionable. Honestly, besides Castillo and Eflin, not really too many sure things there. You kind of relying on Blake Snell to be his normal second half star, which he's done the last 3-4 years in a row. So I'm not really going to question that. Freddy Peralta, always rocky. I see that there. With Flaherty too, the health is always a question mark. And then with I like Schmidt. I think Schmidt is going to be pretty consistent, but Jesus Luzardo, another guy that's not super healthy. I really like how the hitting came out in this one. I really think I backed everything up, but anywhere I was questionable, I think I have at least a solid backup. I think there's a lot of high upside guys. I think there's a lot of consistent bats that what you're going to get from them. If I had to grade myself here, B minus, honestly. Rotation could use a little bit of work, but otherwise I think it's a solid team. I even like the way that the closers came out as well. But before we let Matt jump in here and throw his thoughts, maybe he likes it, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I saw the haterade earlier. I don't know if he still got it there with him, but we will see coming up next.
Okay. And in sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the biggest teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Olympics. The same goes for Having a strategy for life insurance from Select Quotes can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. Select Quotes makes it easy to find the perfect insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find 700 billion in coverage since 1985. What Select Quotes is a part of is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fit-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage up to $5 million. No medical exam required, and it's affordable, more affordable than you think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for less at selectquotes.com/locked on and go to selectquotes.com/locked on today. Get started. That's selectquotes.com slash locked on. Select Quotes. They shop, you save. Okay. And introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Look, you want to win your leagues? There's only one way to do it, and that's with our rankings. I'm going to be quite honest. Look, everybody's showing up to the draft with CBS rankings or, Fangraphs rankings or any of your favorite experts that are out there that are affiliated with a with a network, and you're all running off the same pool. And you know what? Those guys are good. I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to tell you something else. They don't have our insight as well. And you want to get a little bit in the mix. You want to have an edge. Look at our rankings. It could be the tiebreaker amongst them that can make that difference and give you a different perspective. You already listened to the show. Why not conquer your league with the information and our rankings all at the same time? Check us out. Links in the description below. But let's get back into it. And quite honestly, look, Dom, I'm going to be straight with you. I love your bats. The bats are solid. Um, Quite honestly, you have a stellar outfield, which is very hard to do. And you did it very well. The Tovar pick, as we saw in the shortstop episode that we did the other day, my growth grew and grew even in the middle of an episode. So I love that. The first, second, and third punch is phenomenal. And at the Sean Murphy, I love the upside. I didn't get to speak about it because I had to dip out during that catcher episode. But ultimately, you know, solid bats, utilities. There's some upside. You definitely have some guys on the bench that are going to make up for Luis Garcia if he doesn't hit. Same thing with Jason Dominguez. You know, we'll see what's going on. I love the kid. I think the talent is absolutely phenomenal. What we saw in that 1 week of his actual, rookie spring cup of coffee was absolutely stellar. I hope that he can repeat it. I hate Boone for not playing him throughout the playoffs. So it gives me more of hesitation to have him as my starting UT guy than it does as anything else. But he's still somebody that I'm truly interested in. But at least, you know what, on your bench, you have like a Josh Young. I like Pena. We talked about Pena in the shortstop episode.
And I got him so late too. And I think that's the thing with Pena is that we don't have to rank him high because we don't have to take him high, but the upside is still there because he's so young.
Exactly.
And just to defend Garcia for a second, I needed speed. That's what I was thinking there. Otherwise, go ahead.
I mean, speed you got though, like Tovar. You got Westburg that's going to get a little bit. You got Tucker who's going to steal 30 bags. Teoscar can chip in about 20. And Trout, it all depends. Like if they let him run,
I don't
you
think they're
know,
gonna let him.
I
I
don't
don't
think
even
so
remember the
either.
last time he ever run with. It
I
was.
know. But I mean, he might be good for 10. And ultimately, like it is what it is. I mean, it's interesting. But Garcia, I don't think it's about a 50-50 shot, but at least you got the backup. Now, you kind of talked about your pitching, about like what's your weak point, and I'm gonna agree. So here's the deal, right? Being that you took not only a third closer earlier, I also would have expected a little bit more depth at the starting pitcher position, right? Like instead of going after that third bat, I probably would have got another pitcher. That would have been one way to kind of shore it up. And we all know how I feel about Clark Schmidt. There's about, but there's a few things that I would say you probably should have done differently. I mean, when Clark Schmidt was picked, it was a choice between him and Spencer Alleghetti. But there's also this guy
Yeah.
you always say you love that absolutely you always skip, and it's the funniest thing.
Who?
And Job, man.
Oh yeah. Nah. Yeah.
So
That's true. That's true.
like Job Schmidt. I mean, you're taking a closer that is now a starter that's also on a new team from probably one of the best pitching prospects that's come up. He's up in that top list in a while with all those other guys that have the super high potential. And we already got to see exactly that he's going to be able to handle it. Yes, in small sample size, but still. And Job would have been that serious contender. On top of that, the Eflin pick really doesn't do it for me. I have Eflin as my 58th pitcher overall. And
That's pretty good. That's around where I took him.
Yeah, but
that's 5.
There was better options. So like guys
like I said, I think the stability is why I took Eflin, just because I needed somebody else I know was going to just eat innings and have a 3.5 ERA and just win games with Baltimore. It's just more of a stability at that point, because with Snell, Peralta, Flaherty, a lot of question marks. I could have went upside there. I could have took somebody, but I was like, he could eat innings. Just let him be in the rotation, just to be a sure thing for a little bit.
So, but here's the thing: did you notice that Taj Mahal Bradley went literally?
He's risky. That's the whole thing. Put another question mark in the rotation, I think would have made it look even worse.
I mean, yes and no, though. I mean, what injury history? Sure, but Taj also has the upside.
Even talent. I think it's talent though too, because even last year it was still a mixed bag for Taj.
Yeah, but he's still super young. He also is still getting used to the league. I feel like this is that year we might see that breakout. He's doing things and trending into the direction where, his rookie year we saw ups and downs in between the injuries. And then last year we saw a really great start, and then the league kind of figured him out. And then he started to kind of circle back around to being okay again. So this is usually a trend where we start seeing in that third year where that breakout might happen.
Oh, definitely, for sure. But we could say that about a lot of guys. When I just don't think putting another question mark in a rotation with Snell, Peralta, and Flaherty is the right move. I think at that point you kind of want to lean towards a Eflin, a Sonny Gray, a kind of vet that is just going to be okay. If two out of my 4 starters are on the IL by week 2-3, at least I know Eflin is solid. When Bradley, honestly, he could be in AAA by the end of the first month if things go south for him, because as good as he was, it was still a 4 ERA with a 1.2 WHIP. I know the K's were good, but I like I said, could be a step forward, could not be a step forward. I could see it either way. I think it's just as likely that he breaks out as that he's in AAA after the first month, because things kind of go south for him. And I think Eflin is just hey, we know who he is.
I get it. Roster stabilizer. I don't look at Eflin as a stabilizer for me, at least. Also, the other thing too is, even with the Flaherty pick, as much as I like Flaherty and him returning back to Detroit with the pitcher-friendly park, you passed on guys like, Shane McClanahan, Kodai Senga, and Brian Wu. Like guys that not only do I target, but I also too, I think, have higher upside and are just as risky with a way higher ceiling than what we saw for Flaherty. And I feel
I just have Flaherty ranked higher than all those guys. I have Flaherty as my SP25.
Yeah, no, I think you're smoking the good, but it's fine. This is why we do this. But yeah, I mean, look, we could talk, construction, and construction is really just the key in the exercise here today. And it's really just, it comes down to depth, right? And we can argue about the names all day, but the depth is not there. Even when you pick Justin Martinez at that point, I feel like, it was the right pick, especially since you got sniped on Kenley Jansen, who literally went the pick before, which would have been absolutely stellar. But, you still could have got Taj. That would have been a nice pick instead of Justin. But even so, like the Mountcastle pick, you could have went depth with Brandon Woodruff and took the shot on the IL.
Yeah.
But there was nobody really else that was going around there that really would have done it. And then I can't really see the board past the board, truthfully. But I get it. But ultimately, though, you went really high and picks in between your pitching, and you went just a lot of hitting back to back to back. And I feel like personally, you took a real shot in the terms of the pitching. I feel like you could have targeted him a little bit stronger in the middle there, and you probably would have had a more well-rounded team, in my opinion. But ultimately, it is what it is. You'll be able to recover off of, waiver wire and be able to stream. That's the beauty of pitching. I'll give my ranking on the other side of this, but I will say this: it's probably not as high as you've ranked yourself. coming up next.
And all right, folks, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether I'm backing my team for a late-game rally or picking up a player to hit a clutch three. I never feel like I missed my chance. And guys, you know what? I've been talking about it. We got to go with Luka over in the Lakers, man. Over there balling out so far, looking pretty good. Another guy, Brandon Ingram over in Toronto. He's doing pretty good so far over there. And you know what? When you're ready, you got to head over to the app because it's super easy to use. And when you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets. If your first $5 bet wins, just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And all right, Matt, you said you wanted to finish up your thoughts real quick here on the squad.
Yeah. So here, my final thought is this. I'm giving you a C+.
I'll take it.
Your bats kind of drive it for me in terms of that you'll be able to recover in your through waivers and streaming and getting lucky on the waivers with the guy that's going to break out or two and a rookie pickup here and there. There's some obviously replacements that I think you overlooked, and I think you could probably agree with the Jobs and things like that, and probably targeting one more pitcher instead of a Mountcastle. Other than that, I mean, you won't lose with this team. The biggest thing about this is, guys, look, you don't win your league at the draft, but you can damn sure lose it. And that's the one thing Dom didn't do was lose at the draft. And that's the key part. And he drafted a strong core of bats that's going to be harder to compete against, where he'll have a strong point to then make up for the lack thereof on the pitching end. He has 3 solid closers that are going to be able to drive and give him the leg over. He has enough stolen base power that I think can compete, maybe not win every week, but enough to compete in at the category. And he probably has whip. Not really, but it probably has. No, I would say strikeouts for days between his starting pitchers, and that's going to be the biggest key. But you can't bet on it because it's like betting on home runs and things like that in the counting stats. Any given day, somebody can have a 12K game, and that could be the difference of the week. So he's gonna be streaming like a crazy person, but he'll be able to win. So that's why you get the C+ instead of breaking the B barrier. But overall, well done on the hitting. I truly like it.
I appreciate it, brother. And then, we agree on the hitting, so I'm not really going to talk too much about it anymore. Just to talk about the pitching, and I'll kind of talk about the strategy on how I built the rotation and just kind of my mindset behind it. I like Blake Snell. I'm probably the highest person in the industry on Blake Snell. I have him as my SP5. I say this, I could argue have Logan Gilbert as my SP6. I can give anybody Logan Gilbert. If you want to argue Logan Gilbert over Blake Snell, I'll give you that one. You could take it. But with Snell, for me, I just think that you look past anybody past 6 on my rankings or anybody else's rankings. You look at guys like Chris Sale. He's just an injury question mark as well. Same thing with Garrett Cole. Cole Reagans has only done it once. Same with like a Garrett Crochet type. Yamamoto, I think the talent's there, but, coming off a shoulder injury last year. And then anybody after that, it's just Blake Snell's just genuinely a better pitcher than all those guys. And I don't even think it's a question when Blake Snell's healthy. The ERA has been at least a 3.2 or lower the last 3 years. Strikeout machine, second half killer. If he can just continue to do that, and he goes to a better team, he goes to the Dodgers, he's going to win a bunch of games there as long as he's healthy. Castillo is who he is. I think Matt agrees. I think Matt likes Castillo as well, especially where you get him as an SP2, SP1 upside with him. Not a given, though. When you look at Freddy Peralta, as we're getting him as an SP3, I feel like that's about the sweet spot for a Freddy Peralta. He has an upside. SP2, he's a strikeout machine, can never really get the ERA right. I personally have Freddy Peralta as my SP22. So to get him as an SP3, I think is fantastic. Same thing with Jack Flaherty. I'm more of the mindset of, and I'll say this, I'm drafting talent at starting pitching. I'm drafting guys that I just think are the best name on the board. I'm usually taking injury history into a little bit of account, but most of the time I just give me the best guys there, and I'll work around it if I have to. And that's my mindset with Peralta and Flaherty. And that's why I have them both ranked so high. I just think the talent is undeniable, and when they're on the diamond, doing their thing most of the time, they're getting the job done. Especially last year with Flaherty and Peralta, they're both pretty good. Zach Eflin, kind of same mindset, but just, hey, let me stabilize the rotation. He's thrown, a lot of innings the last 2 years. The strikeouts have been okay, and he's in Baltimore. Great spot for him to pitch in. Great team, going to win some games there. Clark Schmidt, we'll agree to disagree on. I don't think we need to do that debate every time we do a mock draft because I'm going to take him every time. You're just not a big fan of his. I think he's going to be great. Jesus Luzardo, I think you like him too. Just to get him as the last pitcher, great. We'll take him there. Would have loved one more, and I think you're right. I should have probably not taken one of Mountcastle or Pena, and probably could have grabbed another starter there. Not sure who was still really there at that time. Job was probably gone, I think. You could correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go down my starting pitcher list. Maybe Kershaw was there. I'm not sure if he's being taken that high yet in mock drafts. You can grab yourself a Clayton Kershaw. I moved him up my rankings pretty high. I don't know. Whoever your choice may be, or whoever my choice may have been, maybe throw another name in there. Great. But like you say, week one comes into play. At least I might have some wiggle room to, I could drop a Mountcastle opinion, whoever's underperforming. And hey, I'll grab the next hot thing off the waiver wire. And that's kind of, like you said, how you can make your money. And you know what? If you're not very good, if you're always on the waiver wire week one, who do I grab? Do I grab this guy, grab that guy? Hey, join Matt and I on Subtext. We do a great job with starting pitching, especially Matt. Matt has a nickname, the Pitcher Whisperer, for a reason. We're very good at streaming pitchers off the waiver wire. We can definitely help you out with that for sure. If you hear my dog in the background, he agrees. He's telling you to subscribe. Well. But otherwise here, Matt, I don't really have too much final thoughts on this team. Anything else you want to say here? Any other final thoughts, opinions?
Yeah. So Snell is the one that also too, like I really didn't comment on, but like he's fallen for me. He's fallen out of my top 6 all the way down to about 14 now. I think even 15. With Blake Snell, it's one of those things like I was kind of not believing the the 6-man rotation until I saw all these signings. They just brought back Clayton Kershaw. Ohtani's on the mend. I see them they put Dustin May in the bullpen, which I appreciate, but also too, at some point that dude's going to earn himself a starting rotation. Gavin Stone is going to return at some point. And there's just so many guys that can have a starting position, and they have no reason to roll all these guys out and get 2-start weeks, which means innings are going to be down. Does that mess with his mojo? Because the more innings Blake Snell pitches, the better he gets. Does that slow down? Does that increase it? Does it get him out of the game the same way like Giancarlo Stanton doesn't like to be out of playing defense because it throws off his game? These new factors affect people. And I just don't know where this is going to take us with Blake Snell, and I just would rather take a round with it. I'm pretty much moving down all Dodgers pitchers. I haven't gotten a Roki Sasaki, but right now he's currently ranked 23, but I think he's going to fall into the 30s. And, same thing with everybody else. As much as I like all the names that are there, I'm not loving it. I think Yamamoto's going to fall in my rankings. It's really tough to do. I don't like the position anymore. And at any point, any of these guys can get bumped, and who knows? Maybe there's a point where they try to do a 7-man rotation because they want to save everybody for another, World Series run. So these are all things you got to realize that they're focusing on real baseball and not fantasy baseball, and they don't care about their innings pitched. They actually would prefer for them to throw less to last longer. So the Dodgers are probably doing all that they can.
I'll say this if you allow me to chime in.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't. I agree with your assessment the way you're looking at it, but I don't agree with that's the way things that are actually going to work out. Just think about all the names that are there, though. They're all injury prone. Literally every single name in the rotation right now is a somewhat injury prone pitcher. I say Yamamoto somewhat. Even his time, over where Japan, he was a little bit hurt over there. Snell, Glass now. Sasaki, I'm not too sure of his injury history. Forgive me on that one. Tony Gonsolin. Clayton Kershaw's actually literally hurt right now. He's coming off toe surgery. So I don't even know if he's ready for opening day. They moved Dustin May to the bullpen, as you said. He's somebody that actually might have to come in and fill a spot sooner than later. I just think that if Snell's healthy, which is obviously a huge question, I think they're gonna let him fly because one, they're paying him all the money to do it, and two, they might not just have better options.
I mean, sure, but also too, like the whole reason they probably loaded up was to keep their innings down and to limit them to make sure they are healthy throughout the season. You know, they have the bullpen to do it. The more
The
I look
bullpen's
at it,
crazy. Yeah, the bullpen's good. Even though Evan Phillips got hurt too. If nobody's hurt, Evan Phillips is out.
so like they have everything they need to do it. There's no reason to keep rolling these guys out and abusing their arms. It's the safest thing for the players at this point, and to return on their investment as well.
My question is how often do you think all 7 guys are going to be healthy throughout the year? You think? Not, I don't think it's going to be often. I think for the most part, it's just going to be 5 or 6.
The problem is they have 8. So even if 2 get hurt at a time, there's still a 6-man rotation, which is still going to keep innings down. Like you're forgetting that Ohtani's also going to return. Another guy you left out on there. So it's going to be rough, and Ohtani wants to pitch. So it's going to be one of those things where we're just going to have to wait and see. But right now, for me, they're going to take a ding. That's the best way I can pretty much say it at this point.
Fair
So,
enough.
Guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Do everything you can to, share the show. It really helps us out. And quite honestly, too, we love providing it every week and every day. So, stick with us. We're going to get you through this. We're going to get you some championships this year. And when you're done, check out our boys solely over at Locked On MLB. We'll give you great baseball coverage for real baseball. And, make sure you listen to us first. With that, have a great day, guys. Peace out.
True.